Good evening, everybody. It's time for the Stock Talk Thursday. I'm your host, Blair Nightingale. We're back here every single Thursday at this time. We've got some new folks coming in every week. So thankful for that. Glad to have you guys on here. This is Stock Talk. This is what we do every Thursday night, okay? We're going to talk about what stocks are hot. What stocks are hot. And I got a hot stock for you. Now, I want to remind you, I'm not saying that we are going to run out and buy these stocks today, because as I talk about on Stock Talk and on Market Monday, right, when we really break down and get an idea of what stock trading really is, it doesn't mean it's always the right time to buy the stock, but it is a hot stock. We're going to get to that tonight. I'm also going to show you a stock that is not. It is not a hot stock. We're going to look at the chart, and I'm going to show you some things about specifically this stock that's not hot, but also some interesting things that are happening there that you can learn a little bit about stocks and stock trading. I think some things you're going to want to know. Also, take a quick look at the news this week. There's so much financial news out there. It can be so confusing. If you're a Tradeway student, you already know that you don't need to know all the news. It's not important that you know all the news that all these outlets want you to think is so important. It's not. It's noise. We help you cut through the noise. And today, I'm going to pull out a few specific articles from this week, which was really a little bit quieter of a week when it comes to any major driver in the news. And I think those are going to be some interesting topics for you guys out there as traders, as investors, and we're going to cut out the noise for you. So that is what we're going to do tonight on Stock Talk. If you guys are joining me, you've been here before, you've not been here before, but you're on the live recording, you know I love to hear from you guys during the show. So if you want to let me know who you are and where you're from, I always love to hear you guys say hi. And of course, and I say this every time too, having questions is a good thing. In an environment of learning, which is what this is what I want this to be, right? Who needs another talking head on your screen just talking at you when we have the ability, because of this technology, we could be talking with each other. So if you have any questions as we're going along, of course, you can throw that in. It may not even necessarily be connected to what I'm specifically saying at that moment. You can always ask questions about anything related to the market. If you're a student, I suppose everybody on here is a student, aren't they? But if you're in one of our programs, it may be a question. I'm going to redirect you into one of the programs. That said, no questions off the table. So go ahead and throw them at me. Hit me with that. And we've got some exciting stuff as well about, really when we're stock trading. I say this on here so you guys hear this from me. We're talking about creating or growing an at-home stock trading business, right? That's really the goal. That's what we're talking about. You can have a business. Now, you might say, well, I just want a side hustle, okay? Or I want to create a business that changes my family's future, period, right? I want to see you guys be able to do that by getting access to this information. Now, as a business, we can set up entities and structures that help us. We're going to talk a little bit about that at the very end as well. That's an important part of actually treating our trading like a real business. So, as I said, we're going to get to that as well. In the background here, I'm pulling up these charts. We are going to talk about them. I see you there, Cheryl. Cheryl Mimi, I think, is the name on your Facebook there. Hello from Connecticut. I believe we've had somebody on here, maybe a couple of people have at least spoken up saying hello from Connecticut. So appreciate having you on here as well. Go ahead and share my screen here for you guys to see this chart. In fact, actually, I'm going to just wait a second because I don't want to tell you too soon what it is. I want to set this up. Now, we've actually talked about this stock a little bit. Now, for those of you out there, let's just do a little poll, all right? If you want to be brave tonight, what would you say for a stock to go up in a single day? Mimi is my grandma name. Okay, I know a couple of families. Cheryl says Mimi is my grandmother name. So I know a couple of families who use Mimi as well. So welcome. Thanks for sharing that. The stock we're looking at, okay? The stock we're looking at did something phenomenally just outrageous today, okay? And you're going to see this. I'm not hyping this up. You're going to see this. So let me ask you guys out there. Let's get a couple of people. There's a little bit of a delay on the responses, but I want to ask, what's a reasonable amount? What would you say would be a pretty good percentage that a stock would go up in a day? All right? Go ahead and pop it in the comments there. Let me know. What would you say is a good increase in a stock? Some of you might say, Blair, I have no idea. I don't know that yet. I haven't looked at enough yet. That's fine. That's fine. Take a guess. Take a guess. What would be a good increase in the stock? What would you say to you if I told you this stock went up X percent today? You'd say, well, that's pretty hot. All right. Michael, hey, this is Mike hanging out in the Caribbean. Hey, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear, man. You're in the right place. Welcome, Michael. Caribbean. Peggy says 10%. Peggy, I don't know if I've seen your name either. So Peggy's chiming in 10%. Okay. If a stock went up 10%, would that be hot? Right? Do we agree with Peggy? I'm going to give my 2 cents on this. I'm going to give my 10% on this. Right? Peggy says 10%. 10% is pretty hot for a stock to go up in a single day, 10%. Think about it. If you were in that stock, you just made 10% on your money in a single day. And stocks do that, right? That's a big move for a stock. Not totally uncommon. Now we see 7-8% in a good move in a stock. All right. I'm actually going to show you two. I just thought of one that we've been working with students all week on this particular stock. And it made a pretty big move. So that's not abnormal. That would be hot. That would be hot. That would be a hot stock. You say, Blair, just get to it already. All right, let's get to it. Go ahead and share my screen. You're going to see. Now, I told you we've talked about this one before. We just haven't talked about it for a while. Here we have AMC Entertainment, right? The movie theater company, right? AMC. What's that number over there? 36%. I rounded up. 35. 35% today. 35% today. And considerably more than that in the last few days. It's Thursday, obviously. Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. Where did we open at Monday? $12. Went up to almost 30 today. So almost tripled this week. This stock almost tripled just this week. You say, Blair, what is going on with AMC Entertainment? Well, if you remember, this is one of the Wall Street Bets stocks. So the Wall Street Bets stocks are at it again. All right. A lot of them are popping. If you missed that, I would say you can go back. It's a January episode. Okay. We did it in January. You can go back. You can watch that episode on GameStop, because at the time, the Wall Street Bets Reddit subgroup, you say, what is that? It's the online page, right? It's an online community of traders that have come together and they're just assaulting these stocks. What happens when we buy a stock? Well, when enough money is coming in and buying a stock, it creates scarcity, and scarcity raises value, right? The less of something there is, theoretically, the more valuable it becomes, the more somebody's willing to pay for it. That's what raises share prices. Well, they came in like gorillas back here in January and shot this stock from about $2 to 20. That's 10 times the value. And it's been moving up ever since. Now, this stock got beat up, right? This stock got beat up. So it's been to these levels before, okay? But at the time, the big one was GameStop, wasn't it? That's what everybody was talking about, GameStop. Well, AMC has taken front and center, right? It's the one on screen now because it is way beyond GameStop. We can jump over there for a quick second and I'll show you. Now, GameStop's popping, right? It had earnings today, which is interesting. It popped up, but is nowhere near the movement of AMC. AMC. So not, 35%. So we started with 10, right? Peggy says 10. This is almost 40. And at one point today, it was up almost 60%. So how would you like to be in a stock? Now, this is very uncommon to see, but less uncommon these days, right? How'd you like to be in a stock and have it go up 60% in a single day? 60% in a single day. I'd say that's pretty hot. Now, again, does that mean that I should run out and buy this stock, right? Well, if you did, I would say it would be gambling, flipping a coin, highly speculative. It is a very volatile stock. There's no technical way based on the system we teach, right, that helps you understand how to find an edge in the market. We never know what the market's going to do. It's not about knowing what the market is going to do, but it is about identifying higher probability stocks so that my money that's at risk is in a better spot than somewhere else. Then someone who doesn't know how to find that higher probability, they might put their money anywhere. But you and I, if we learn how to trade, we can go and put our money in the right spot. On this chart, you might say, well, Blair, it's kind of a rocket engine. Maybe I can grab on. Well, maybe. Maybe we'll get our arms torn off, right? We don't know, but that's certainly what happened back here. In fact, I knew some people who got into BlackBerry on this day right here. Looked a lot like AMC looks today, and it dropped. And at the time, I noted when we last talked about this, it had dropped 58%. You say, well, I sure love to see it go up 60% in a day, but sometimes people get caught on the wrong side of that. It's not really trading. In fact, it's not trading. It's guessing. And this is never guessing, gambling, or going for it, right? And you'd have to go for it here. Now, some people, already yesterday, they said, you know what, Blair, I'm willing to throw. This is $18, $19 a share. I'll put in $20, right? That is entirely up to you. We do not encourage gambling, guessing, or going for it in any way. But nonetheless, very hot stock. AMC Entertainment, Wall Street Bets. You can Google it. There are other Wall Street Bets stocks, but this one being the one that is certainly flying high. That is our hot. What is not hot this week? Well, I think we found a bunch, but there are some. Actually, you know what? I just remembered, guys. I wanted to point this guy out to you. All right, just jumping over here. This is one we were looking at. Now, you may not know how to do this yet, but on this chart, here's another hot stock, right? This was a very hot stock this week, okay? This was just, today, obviously, yesterday, Tuesday, Monday. There is a specific pattern on this chart that we are able to identify, and we anticipated that the stock would simply do what this pattern normally, not always, but normally does, okay? So all we have to do is teach you guys how to recognize those patterns. And once you know how to recognize those patterns, we just have to get you to a place of confidence where you can go in and know how to execute the trade wisely. That is such an easy window into what trading is. You say, well, Blair, does it always pop up like that? Of course, it does not always pop up like that, right? It may move up. It may not move up that strongly. It may move down. But in these specific patterns, they work more than they do not work. We've just got to understand what those patterns are, okay? That is Ford. So that's another great stock, right? It's a good contrast because here's a stock that's blowing up, I would say, right? That's a good thing. It's blowing up. It's not breaking down. It's blowing up. But there is rhyme to the reason. There's method to the madness. It's not grabbing onto a rocket ship, right? Like AMC. This is not guessing, gambling, or going for it. Just running out today and buying Ford would be. That would be guessing, gambling, or going for it, in my opinion, unless you knew some technical reason why you wanted to buy that stock at that point in time. So that is what's hot. What's not? Let's take a look at this. Let's look on the opposite side. Ooh, look at Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree. All right, dollar stores. I want to point out a couple of things on this chart, okay? Really three things. Number one, obviously, this one is getting hurt, right? This stock is getting killed. It's dropped significantly. Now, this one, now we were just talking about what would be a good move up. Peggy said 10%, right? Peggy said 10%. 10% is pretty good. And I said, stocks to move 7, 8%. That makes sense. In fact, we looked at Ford, right? Which was up about 7% today. So that's a great move. I'm not saying it always moves that much, but this one's down almost 8%, right? So pretty close. So on the opposite side, not up 10, but down 10. Now, there are some out there, that you might find are down 50, 60%, but those tend to be more in the penny stocks. The value of the share is less than $1. So we call that a penny stock. That's a whole different world, penny stocks, okay? Some people say, I love penny stocks because I can buy so many shares with a little bit of money. But there are very unique risks to penny stocks and some things that we aren't going over on this episode, but there are specific risks to that. That's definitely something we talk about in the program. And I've excluded those in this example or in my search for an example today. This in particular, remember I said, one, it's gapped down. It's dropping down. It's getting crushed. It made a high and it's coming down. Now it is at this level that it was at back here. Okay. So that's interesting. We'll see if it can kind of hold on here. Number two, you see that and I mentioned this, it gapped. Okay. We haven't talked about gaps a lot. Okay. There's a lot we can learn and do with gaps, but today I just want to define what is a gap. A gap is when the stock, and I'm going to zoom in for this. A stock closes at a specific price. Yesterday, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, this stock closed. Okay, it closed at 108.39, approximately 108.40. Specifically, let's see, where's the close? 108.47. Right, $108.47. That's where it closed. So when the market closed, it's worth $108.50. And then when it opened this morning, right, it was worth $102.50, respectively, almost. Well, wait a second, Blair. It opened at a different price than it closed at. Doesn't it have to open at the same price and move down? Right? It doesn't. It doesn't actually. It can gap, and that can gap up, that can gap down. Remember I said, if a lot of people want to buy, what happens? Shares become more scarce, value goes up. The opposite is true. If a lot of people want to sell, the market becomes flooded with shares, value goes down, right? They're not as in demand, right? If diamonds were everywhere, right? The scripture talks about a time under Solomon's reign when silver is just loose in the streets. It was so abundant. Silver was just in the streets, right? There's so much silver that the price of silver is not very high because it's not hard to get, right? That's the picture. Same thing here. Overnight, so many people said, you know what? We don't want Dollar Tree. They sent their orders into the market. Now, it's not executed until the morning, but when that guy who comes in, we haven't talked about market makers, that's in our program, but the guy who can, or the people, I should say, who are going to help us do the buying and selling, they see so many sell orders they say, whoa, this isn't worth what it was worth when we closed at 3 p.m. yesterday. We got to drop the price. And you get a gap. You get a gap in the stock. That's number two. That's important. You say, how do gaps work? You say, how do I avoid gaps? You say, can they help me? Can they hurt me? These are all important questions, right? So we talk about gaps in the program. The third thing I want to talk about is this little E at the bottom, right? Earnings. Now, I've talked about this as the major news item. This is past now, but 4 times a year, right? Every quarter, we have 4 quarters, 4 times a year, all publicly traded companies are required to report their earnings. And Wall Street wants to know, how much money did you make, along with some other things. If Wall Street is happy with their news, then they will buy the stock. If they are unhappy with their news, they will sell the stock. And nobody knows what that company is going to say until the day of the earnings report. So there's no way to not guess, gamble, or go for it on an earnings report. So we at Tradeway have very specific rules when it comes to earning. You say, Blair, what if I had been in that on this day? And then that happened. I would say if you were a Tradeway student, you would have never been in that on that day. Unless you were doing something we told you you should not do, you would not have been in that stock, because we don't actually, we would not have been in this stock. And we would have had rules specifically that would have helped you identify, I'm not going to be in this stock. Okay, I'm not going to be in this stock because there's too much risk for me. So that is very important. All of these factors combined, looking at this chart, Dollar Tree right here, right now, today, not a hot stock. Not a hot stock. In fact, it's taking a beating, right? It's taking a beating. Will it continue to take that beating? I don't know. We don't know yet. I think it's in an interesting spot because it's been at this low before. It's also been lower than that before. And you can see, if I actually zoom out here and take this guy, see some of these lows from here even, we'll see if it can hold, right? We'll see if this line means anything. Certainly the horizontal, but weak stock. Definitely weak today. Did not do well on earnings. Wall Street definitely didn't hear what they wanted to hear. So that is what's really hot and not so hot today in the market. Now, obviously, I want to talk about news a little bit. You'll see there's some AMC. If these things continue to make these kinds of moves, we're going to see a frenzy kind of whip up again like we did back in January. They tried to get it going between January and now again, and it just didn't really materialize. This is some pretty significant movement we saw here in AMC. So if that continues to happen, I know there's going to be a discussion about you and me, right? You and me. Why? Retail traders. That's you and me. It's the retail traders who are coming in and driving the price of these Wall Street bets stocks up, 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 up. And until this has really occurred this year, okay, it's no surprise. This is on the back of the pandemic year 2020, because there are so many people out there who are saying, I want to trade. I want to trade. So much of our work is going online, Zoom, remote, all this kind of stuff. What about online trading? Now, it's always been there. Well, it hasn't always been there. It's been there a long time, right? And Tradeway's been doing it for 15 years now. But a lot of people are waking up and saying, you know what? I could not only do this, but there are people out there who can train me and show me how to do this. And this is the term I like to use, you say, I want to get off the grid. I want to get off the grid. I don't want to be dependent on the system. I don't want to have to worry about layoffs and who knows what's coming? Who knows what's next, right? And I'm not stirring up fear, but a lot of people who passed through this past year have said, you know what? There's got to be something different. And if it's out there, I want to find it. Well, some of these Wall Street bets guys, they've all really come together and they're doing something they've never been able to do before, which is really drive enough money into a stock to actually beat Wall Street in some ways, okay? We talk more about how they beat them in our January episode on GameStop, but they really are. There's so many of them coming together. And prior to this, you and I, the retail traders, even together on some level, we just haven't had enough money to really move these stocks and beat Wall Street. I don't mean beat Wall Street in that you make money, but actually turn the tide of the stock and control the momentum of the stock. That's what's happening here. So that's very interesting news. It's not become something that's going to be talked about a ton right now as the main driver in the market by any means. But if it continues to happen or starts to happen with other stocks, you better believe that it's going to be in the news, because it's a very interesting thing. And a lot of people out there are very interested in knowing, how do we do this and how do we do this safely? And of course, that is why you are here. That is AMC. I also want to talk about, you'll notice it was last Monday, the week before, there were some jobless claims that came out. So we get this economic data, and I want to bring this up today because, throughout the week, there's a lot of economic data. And even that term economic data, for some of us, feels so boring, we don't even know what to do with it, right? Maybe it's interesting to some of us, but for most people, not really interested in that, interested in trading, interested in making some money because you got some things you want to do. We've been talking about this a lot at Tradeway. It's not about being able to trade stocks, is it really? Now, there are some people, they just like it. It's a hobby. But most people, that's not it. It's about that vacation, right? I had a staff member share today. They said this vacation wasn't about going here, doing this thing. This vacation was about the fact that when my daughter is my age, she's going to remember this forever. She's going to remember the trip we took and did that thing. I've been talking to people, man, medical bills. It's the number one reason for bankruptcy in the United States. Unexpected, massive medical bills. That's a specific thing on my heart that I want to make an impact on. Medical bills. Retirement. I talk to people all the time. All the time. Blair, I'm 53 years old, have no retirement. 53 years old, no retirement. 50, 48, 56, 63, no retirement. 37, no retirement, right? Clock is ticking, not a lot of time. What is the plan, right? This is part of what's happening. I lost my job last year, right? I lost my job. I thought it was secure. It's not. I don't know what's going to happen. What can I do? How do I start a business? I don't have a lot of capital to start a business. I want to start a business, at-home stock trading business. Very low overhead. Starting an online business alone has low overhead. Starting a stock trading business, very low overhead. Very low overhead, right? This isn't about trading. This is about you getting off the ship that's just not headed the direction you want it to be going. And that's why I bring this stuff up. And I got to say, the more I talk to students, the more I coach people, the more I look for breakthrough in my own life in all areas, the more I realize we have to stop and confront the areas that are not producing the kind of fruit that we most want. Why should somebody else be the only one to get the breakthrough? And it's not about competition or comparison, but I'm saying to you today, why somebody else? Why can somebody else be successful at stock trading and you don't have a shot to be successful in your at-home stock trading business? Okay? And that's really where we're coming from here at Tradeway. We can take you through the program so that you can have every resource you need to have your own successful at-home stock trading business. And you can actually have the vacation that your daughter's going to remember forever. You can have the retirement. You can pay the college tuition. These are the kinds of things we're all working towards, right? This is the goal that we have, okay? Nothing in life ultimately gives us a guarantee, but we've got to choose the kind of direction we want to head in, and that sometimes requires that we just really confront what do we believe about these things. Now, I mentioned that we've got a specific partnership that's going to help you if you're going to set up an at-home stock trading business. Some of you out there, and this is really who I'm speaking to right now, you already are starting this journey, right? You have this journey, But this is very new. And I can tell you, when I started out, it was very, very new. Okay. All of this was very new, which I think should be encouraging to everybody because I knew nothing. Poster boy, know nothing. Very true, right? Sometimes people are embarrassed that, Blair, I don't really know a lot about this. I promise you, I don't have a finance degree. Okay. That is not my background. My background is in the entertainment industry and in missions and ministry. I got radically saved by Jesus when I was 21 years old, and I went into the ministry, okay? I do not have an economics background. This is how God got me to where I am. This is the vehicle that got me to where I am. And when I came in, I didn't understand a lot about taxes, and I didn't understand a lot about business. And there are two tax codes in this country, or there's one tax code, but really two distinctions. And I talked about this on a previous episode: personal tax and corporate tax. And if you're looking to start an at-home stock trading business, you owe it to yourself to learn more about how this can serve you. Okay. This has had a tremendous financial impact on my personal life. Okay. My stock trading business. What is this, you say? We've got a free webinar coming up from Prime Corporate Services. These are some friends of ours at Tradeway. They specialize in helping you understand those distinctions. Taxes in regards to a trader. In fact, I mentioned these guys on our previous episode when we talked about taxes. Remember that you can always go back in time. Okay, you can always go back in time and you can look at any previous episodes that you may have missed. I think that was an important one. So you will want to go back and watch that, because a lot of tax stuff it sounds like it might be really boring. I break it down for you so that you know some things that really the wealthy, up until recently, it's really all the wealthy that they've been using and enjoying. And that's something we want to help you understand too. How can you understand taxes at a better level? How can you understand what time is a good time for you to set up a business structure? Okay. Things like this can save you money. They can protect your family. And that is what this is all about. Dwayne says, hello from Myra, Texas. Well, I'm here in East Texas. I actually don't know where Myra is, Dwayne. You can maybe, you can let me know. I'm not sure where that is, but this is the first time I've seen you on here. So thank you so much for being on here as well. This is about your family. Tradeway is always about that. Tradeway is a family company started by a fifth-generation oil man, his family, his kids, his legacy. I've had the benefit of being from another family, and they have brought me in. As a student, I came in, and they treated me like family. And it has completely changed my life. Every day, all of us on this team come to these webinars live, to our programs, to our community pages, and to the live events that we are going to start doing. Again, in fact, we've got one coming up in June in Dallas, so you can check the Tradeway website for that. But in all the ways that we meet and talk to our students, our desire is for you guys to move forward in this dream that you have. You have your own reasons for this, but for all of us collectively, we're using this as a vehicle to get where we want to go. We've got to be people who can put in some time. We've got to be people who can take some action. That is what stock trading requires. And those are the kinds of people we're looking for. You're here on this webinar. Jump on in. You can see the free webinar at the link I provided. You can always head over to tradeway.com as well if you're looking to get deeper in the program. My name, as I said at the beginning, is Blair Nightingale. If you ever want to reach out to me, you can always email support@tradeway.com, and you can just put my name right in there, Blair Nightingale. Ask a question. Let me know if you're interested in a program or anything that I talk about. Send me an email. I'd love to have a conversation with you. So you can always do that at support@tradeway.com. Okay. So with that said, you guys, that's what's hot. That's what's not. That's what's happening in the news. And remember, Monday, I wanted to make sure to tell you, Monday, the market is closed. We have a Memorial Day holiday, so the market is actually closed on Monday. So safe and happy trading tomorrow. Market closed on Monday, back on Tuesday. If you're a Tradeway student, I will see you at that point. If not, we'll be back next week for another Stock Talk Thursday. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks so much for being on tonight, guys, and we will see you then.